All right, what's up, man? This is episode 3 of the GOAT. I'm Duke. This is my boy Chaos BC. We are back, and the threat is definitely real. We really need to get some more music. So if you are an unsigned punk, metal, or hardcore band, send your music to thegoatradio.com. We will play it, okay? We'll be played, possibly featured, possibly interviewed. You can also hit us up on Facebook at The GOAT. That's our Facebook page. And you can follow us at Twitter at thegoatradioshow.com. Thing I want to talk about, man, you notice I ain't got the sunglasses this time. If you are a, long-term GOAT viewer, I want to talk about something very serious, okay? What the hell happened to Metallica? They were a stalwart in the metal community, and now they're like a shadow of what they used to be. What's your comments on that, Chaos?
Here's the thing. Metallica is a ridiculously polarizing band, and here's why. It's because they were. I mean, they were the kings of the fucking thrashing in the 80s. I mean, they had a meteoric rise, which really just drove them from basically the obscurity of the Bay Area thrashing into like national promise and prominence, opening for bands like Ozzy and just really big stage tours. And this was like without any radio play, without being on MTV. I mean, they were the fucking, like, troopers of metal in the 80s, you know what I mean? They did it their fucking way, and a lot of people had a lot of respect for that, and then, well, we all saw what happened in the 90s. I mean, we don't have to go into it. And then, I don't know, man, I felt like they were starting to fucking find their roots again and get back, man. Saint Anger, not a great record, but better than anything they put out in the 90s, you know what I mean? And then fucking Death Magnetic was really good. And then I saw them a few days ago on fucking Colbert, and they sounded like a cheap parody fucking knockoff bar band, like 2 o'clock in the morning, entire band's drunk version of themselves. And I was just like, why the fuck did I invest so much money into this band over the years? Dude, these dudes are multi-millionaires because of people like me paying for their crappiness. Dude, if you're not fucking into it no more, just quit. Stop it.
Yeah. Man, I do agree. In the 80s, man, yeah, they were almost like a dark horse band. They came out of fucking nowhere. They brought attention to bands that people weren't gonna fucking necessarily listening to. I mean, would you have ever heard the name Budgie if it wasn't fucking from Metallica? Diamond Head, Tigers of Pantang. Those were successful bands in their own right, but they just didn't get the exposure until Metallica came out. It's, it's the old adage, if you're into a band, check out who they were into, and you'll figure out, where they developed themselves. And, basically, yes, the heart and soul of that band did die in a bus crash in the mid-'80s on a tour you may have heard of, Master of Puppets. But the guy that they did bring in to replace him was a damn good bass player in his own right. And continues to put out quality music and continues to be a true musician.
Well, speaking of Jason Newsted, have you heard his new record?
Actually, I have, and you made a comment to me a couple of months ago about it. And dude, I do agree, man. It reminds me of Motorhead, but that's not a bad thing.
No, I think Jason Newsted may very well be the fucking heir apparent to Lemmy. I think Metallica and Voivod just might have been his fucking Hawkwind, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that was his fucking sketch pad,
Yeah.
But the thing is he brought a different musical style to them. Before they were writing guitars and drums, and it was apparent, the riffs, even the drum riffs and James's riff, they mirrored each other. And I really think that if it wasn't for, a lot could be said for, people make a case for Mustaine or whatnot, but if it wasn't for fucking Kirk Hammett being a consummate fucking professional guitar player and musician, and probably with the best interest of the band at heart, man, they probably wouldn't have gone to where they went. I mean, Hammett's solos and Hammett's playing style is instantly recognizable.
Well,
And
and when they play live, Hammett fucking kills it, dude. He kills
yeah,
it, dude. He's awesome, dude. James and Lars. I've never really been a big fan of Lars's drumming, but just seeing him on Colbert the other night, I was like, man, dude. I've played with dudes that have been playing for like 6 months that are better than this guy, dude. They sounded like a fucking cheap bar band, dude.
yeah, what I see from old Hetfield in the last few years, he's just more into making faces and almost being a fucking cartoon version of what he used to be. And I'm not trying to just totally rip or insult the guy, but I mean, dude, there was a time when that guy was probably one of the fastest right hands in the business, man.
Dude, that and his fucking tone on Master of Puppets is still fucking. People are still trying to emulate that tone unsuccessfully.
Good luck, because they don't make the head anymore. But
I know.
that wasn't the whole secret either. I mean, the dude's rhythm chops, that really not many people can touch him. I would say seriously, in my opinion, the only people that can really touch him rhythmically wise be like a Scott Ian, dude. Scott Ian's got a fucking fat rhythm tone, and he just chugs along, dude. And he does it with the fucking goofy grin on his face, man.
Scott
And
Ian's a monster.
he's not scowling. He's not, trying to tower over, and he doesn't, put his overbearing personality over the band. I think that was a big problem with those guys is not only with success, man, a couple of egos in that band got really big and fucking out of control. And
Lars.
Lars and James, most definitely. And and then you got a guy that they recruit in, fucking Trujillo, who's his resume is fucking impeccable.
Impeccable
Yeah,
is the right word.
you cannot, you can't ask for a better bass player to come out and try to fucking not only be jazzed to join your band, but to fucking try to bring it back into, a fucking
Relevance.
shadow of relevance is what it. Yeah, exactly. That's a great word for it, dude. They were putting out crap in the '90s, and you're exactly right, man. And when it comes to a point in your band's career when you're 20 years in and you're going back to covers, dude, it's time to fucking sit around each other and fucking put the fucking guitars down and say, hey, man, we need to fucking talk or we need to hang it up. We need to make one last kick-ass compilation and fucking cash in and get the fuck out,
And that's true. And we talked about this a little bit the other day offline, and it was you kind of remember Metallica as being this huge band in the '80s, but they really weren't. They were up and comers, and in the metal community, they fucking flew to the top. But as far as like worldwide dominance, that really didn't happen to the Black Album. And the Black Album, well, maybe even like the one video kind of kicked them off, and then that's what made the Black Album so anticipated. And when it came out, people really latched onto it, and they really blew it. I mean, they probably sold like 1.5 million, 2 million copies of Injustice for All when it first came out. I'm sure it's much higher than that now. But I mean, the Black Album, like over that 3-year span, sold like 16, 17 million copies, which is like Appetite for Destruction numbers. You know what I mean? This is Back in Black numbers. It catapulted them into that elite fucking band status. And the thing is, when most people found Metallica on that Black Album, that's kind of when I lost them.
Exactly.
Dude, when you fucking go to Bob Rock and you fucking throw him a copy of Dr. Feelgood and go, yeah, we want to sound like this, I'm kind of out.
Right. No, I completely agree, dude, because, commenting on the Black Album, the thing about that album, it was fans that made that thing a fucking, the monster that it was. It wasn't really the music. I mean, the riffs are slowed down and sludgy, and yeah, I mean, at the time, there was some fucking issues with, Hetfield fucking getting burned up and shit. But you know what fucking Michael Jackson set his hair on fire, and he came back with fucking, he still was kicking ass,
Right.
If you're a Jackson fan,
Right.
I mean, shit, dude, and that was in a fucking commercial. So he was in the midst of fucking selling out, caught his Jerry curl on fire, and was like, hey.
And then put out Bad.
I need to straighten my hair out, and I need to embrace these burns, so I'm going to bleach my skin, But, Yeah, dude, it was you're right. It was the anticipation of the release of that album and people lining up to buy it without even fucking hearing it that made that thing the juggernaut it was. It was not the music on it. But
No,
sadly, on a lot of radio stations, your premium radio stations, that's the Metallica you hear. You hear from that point on, like their career started with the Black Album in radio eyes. Now, the only time you're gonna fucking hear the old shit, it's dead. I mean, Z-Rock died,
right?
and
I
yeah,
mean, there's some stations. There's select songs. I mean, of those first four records, they like to play fucking Seek and Destroy, For Whom the Bell Tolls,
right on,
and One. They don't play anything off fucking Master of Puppets,
right.
which is I mean, arguably the best fucking thing they put out. That is their masterpiece. That was their pinnacle. That was their apex. That was the high point. That was the last album that Cliff Burton.
That's their Sergeant Pepper's, man.
It really is.
And they'll never match it. And there's a lot of bands that, certain albums you can point out and say that, hey, Rust in Peace, that was Megadeth's fucking, Sergeant Pepper's. They're never gonna touch that combination again. They're never gonna get close to that again. And but you know what? As fans of those bands, you want them to try. And that's what Metallica wasn't doing in the 90s. They weren't even trying. I mean, shit.
Yeah.
On your live sets, sure, throw a Thin Lizzy song in there. Sure. But don't put that out as like a single, or you just don't do that kind of shit. I mean,
right, they really did kind of coast through the fucking 90s because they put out the Black Album, which they toured behind for like, 3.5 years, so there was no new music. And then they put out Load, which kind of tanked. So then they put out fucking Garage Inc., which was a double fucking cover CD. And then they put out fucking Reload, which fucking really didn't do that well either. I mean, at least not in the eyes of the fans. I think it sold okay. And then they put out fucking S&M.
There you go. I was like, don't forget S&M. It's like all of a sudden they went Jimmy Page.
Right? And then I think they even fucking did like a 1.5 tour behind a 1.5 in the life of Metallica, which was just a fucking DVD set of them playing the same old shit.
I now look at it. There's a movie of fucking about a Metallica roadie. Like, how did the life of a roadie for the band become more interesting than the band itself? I mean, when you look at that, you're like, what the fuck? I mean, I just don't understand it.
Anytime you want to give a fucking roadie props, just throw on fucking Motorhead's We Are the Road Crew. And then you're good, man. All roadies are fucking vilified at that point.
Right on, dude.
Yeah, we are the Road Crew.
I don't know what happened. I know when it happened. I don't know why it happened, but it happened. And really, man, I think, I hate to say it, man, it fucking dragged metal down. It actually, oh man, I think it did, because here you are, one of the last ambassadors, of the actual fucking thrash metal scene that was actually still doing it, I mean, because after 91, there was a lot of bands that were trying to either A, figure out how to counteract the grunge movement, or they were going through fucking lineup changes and trying to rediscover themselves.
Well, the thing that happened is, there's a lot of things that happened. I saw somebody talking about it earlier, and it made a lot of sense, dude. You had the thrash metal scene, and the thing is, the kind of bands that came after the Big Four, and then there was like the second wave of thrash too, which was bands like Testament and Sacred Reich, and those were all badass bands. And they just kind of, I don't know, the bands that came after that, man, just really weren't fucking cutting the mustard, you know what I mean? The fucking glam scene, which was huge in all top 40, got killed by one of its own, Guns N' Roses, because Guns N' Roses was basically playing glam rock without being a glam rock band. They didn't have fucking giant hair. They didn't wear spandex. Well, I mean, I guess Axl wore spandex. But for the most part, dude, if you look at like Slash and Izzy Stradlin and Duff McKagan, those dudes were just fucking like rock and roll dudes. You know what I mean? They weren't genre specific. So just the fact that that band went on such a fucking rise to stardom kind of just squashed all the poisons. Because you would see fucking Slash out there jamming, and you think, that dude's a badass. And then you'd look at, like, Tom Kiefer and be like, that dude looks ridiculous.
Right. No, you're exactly right. You know what, man? Guns N' Roses always reminded me of like if Aerosmith had adopted Motley Crue's partying style. You know,
Right?
yeah. It was like if those two bands joined up, you got Guns N' Roses, dude.
Right?
And
Guns N' Roses was just like a really, really loud version of the Rolling Stones.
right on. You know, that's a fucking astute fucking analogy, dude. Yeah, man. That might go down on one of my favorite fucking quotes, man.
Yeah,
That's good shit, dude.
I really wish it was mine. I fucking totally copped it from Gilby Clarke. But
Ah, fuck. Damn. But I will tell you what about Guns N' Roses, dude. Izzy has the coolest riffs. And
dude, he did, man.
I'll stand by that today, dude. It was like, it must have been a lot of fun to be Izzy fucking Stradlin. I know that fucking Slash got all the, publicity, but it must have been a lot of fun to be Izzy, dude.
Well, Izzy wrote a lot of the songs.
Riffs. Yeah.
I mean, that was the thing about Guns N' Roses too, is they were a really collaborative band. You know what I mean? Everybody wrote riffs, dude. Duff wrote riffs, Izzy wrote riffs, but not just that, dude. I mean, Axl gets a lot of fucking lyrical credit, but Izzy and Duff wrote a fucking shit ton of those lyrics too, man. My Michelle, fucking Think About You, Rocket Queen, dude. That's not Axl shit. He was just in there singing.
Right. And when vice versa with Metallica, you had a fucking basically a monopoly on the songwriting.
Yeah,
You
dude.
know, it either came from Hetfield or it didn't fly. You know?
Well, that was basically it. Fucking James and Lars would get in a room and they would work out the parts. They would arrange them, and then they would go, okay, fucking bass player, write your parts, and fucking Cliff wrote some really fucking sweet, tasty fucking bass lines, and so did Jason. After
Yeah.
Injustice for All, which basically I think they just mixed the bass out of that record. But and then Kurt would fucking solo all over it, which really fucking kind of made it what it was.
Yeah, he you know what? Kirk Hammett glued that band together, dude. He really did. Man, shit, dude. I still listen to some of his solos, and I'm like, are you serious? I was like, the first solo that was 20 to 32 bars wasn't enough. You got a second solo that's another 32 bars, and it's even more badass than the first one. I mean, shit, he's like fucking Santana on fucking steroids. You know?
Yeah, dude. Phantom Lord has more fucking solos in it than it does riffs.
Right on. So I mean, sum it up, dude. What happened?
Sum it up.
I'm asking you the question this time. What happened?
James Hetfield is a fucking megalomaniacal. Fuck, I can't even say that word today. Megalomaniac. Blah.
Say megalomaniac.
Yeah, dude. Okay, let me fucking dumb it down for the audience. James Hetfield equals douchebag.
There you go.
Dude, he's the prime example of somebody who fucking started, he was this young, hungry fucking kid who started to believe in his own hype, and that was fucking basically the beginning of the end. He basically fucking thought, hey, we can just fucking half-ass it, and people are gonna buy it, so why should I fucking put any effort into it? And if you don't believe me, go buy a copy of fucking Reload.
Exactly. I think you sum it up pretty well. It became I Am Metallica, not We Are Metallica. And if you listen to the fucking Something Off Kill 'Em All, man, what is it? We'll never stop, we'll never quit, because we're Metallica.
Yeah, we're Metallica.
Well, now, in the 90s it became I Am Metallica. And you know what? It was really fucking evident because it started to really fucking suck. And, yeah, I actually did go back and watch the replay of that. And you're right, it was a huge disappointment when 50% of that band carried their parts and put energy into it. But if you watch, Rob and Kirk watched each other. It's like they knew these dudes. They've already checked out. It's like Lars and fucking James already have new jobs, and they just gave their 2 weeks notice.
Right.
And the other guys are like, well, shit, we still got to work here,
Well, yeah, dude, and the thing, man, I got to give all the fucking props in the world to Robert Trujillo, because he kind of walked into a situation. I mean, that dude was in Suicidal Tendencies, Infectious Grooves. He played with fucking Ozzy's band. He was in Black Label Society.
Yeah.
I mean, I mean, that dude's resume is fucking stacked, dude. He's probably one of the greatest bass players out there right now. And I really feel like maybe he fucking walked into a situation where, I mean, at least he still got the crab walk. Did you see the crab walk?
Yes. Oh yeah. Yeah, that's when you told me Total Pros, you nailed that. Those two dudes went and they did their job and they delivered like they do every night. And you see Metallica live, yeah, a Hammett solo might be a little different here and there, but seriously, that's what live music's about.
Yeah, dude, that dude wings it, man. He's an improviser.
But when you forget the words to songs you've been singing for 20 years, or you pass the mic to the crowd because you don't want to sing it, that's a whole different story, dude. I watched an interview from Frank Zappa, and he basically said, what people are looking for now is the jukebox. The band gets up there and you play that song exactly how we bought it and how we wanted to listen to it 100 fucking times. And that in itself, people of our generation, we expect something different at a concert, but the newer generation is going along just with that, and they've lost what live music is, and they really have, because you know what, no one wanted to see Hendrix get up and play note for note every solo, voodoo style the same way every time. No, you wanted him to get some fart and squeals and be out of tune, because that's when he was at his best.
It really was, dude. And I'll give you an example. I went to this fucking show in, I don't know, mid-'90s, so this band was well out of favor by then. A band named Foreigner. You might remember them. They're fucking classic rock band. I went and saw Foreigner and Bad Company and
Vision. Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah, it was Foreigner, Bad Company, and Night Ranger. It was a good show. But fucking Foreigner headlined, and they did a 36-minute version of fucking Jukebox Hero, and it was awesome. Dude, I don't even like that song, and it was fucking awesome. Dude, I mean, there was literally like a 9-minute fucking, like, sax fucking guitar, like, doodle-off. It was pretty badass.
Damn. Oh, I forgot. They did have a lot of heavy sax in that band.
Yeah, man. It was a good show, man. Fucking Lou Gramm was bringing it in the 90s.
It was like them and the E Street Band were the last guys that really hung on to the saxophone,
Right?
That's crazy.
I think more bands should have horn sections.
I actually do too, man. They used to make that was to me the line of demarcation between a blues band and a rhythm and blues review was a horn section.
Right.
Because the horn section takes a huge amount of pressure off of the rhythm guitarist and the bass player too, for that matter.
Dude, maybe Metallica should get a horn section.
They tried it. They had a whole orchestra and they still suck.
That's right. That's right. They did suck.
So I don't know, dude. I mean, what was the big train? The train song, whatever the fuck that was. They always played it.
No Leaf Clover. Be a shooting light at the end of your tunnel.
Train.
Yeah. All right, dude. We've been talking fucking enough, dude. Yeah, what do you got on tap for our first fucking musical extravaganza?
All right, check it out, man. We got another GOAT band coming up for you. This is Exhaled Life, and this is There Is Only Silence. right, that was Exhaled Life with There Is Only Silence, man. If you like them, look them up on our page or check them out on their own Facebook and Twitter pages. They're a band out there doing it. You need to support them. This is a segment of the show I usually pose. This comes from the depths of my brain. This is the question of the week. And
this week, dude, what is your question?
My question would be Rob Halford or Bruce Dickinson?
Oh, man.
Go.
Dude, this is, what is this, fucking Sophie's Choice?
Yeah, it's difficult, man. It's Kramer versus Kramer right here.
They're both awesome singers, but fucking, I don't know, man. I got to give the edge to Bruce Dickinson just because, well, dude, he's got Steve Harris and fucking Rob Halford has Ian Hill.
Well, right on, dude. I'll give you that. And you know what? With that being said, yes, Maiden does have a more superior lineup. But doing what he's doing with DK and Glenn Tipton, I got to give the edge to old Rob. Just because, we had this conversation earlier in the week. When I listen to Iron Maiden, the musicianship is second to none. It's educated metal, and plus they give you a history lesson in midst of all that, man. I mean, you're going to learn about what it's like to be an English private in the war. You're going to learn about what it's going to be to fly a jet. You're going to learn what it's going to be like to be a slave of the Pharaoh.
Right. All about the Rime of the Ancient Mariner. Know what it's like to be a fucking Native American and have your lands fucking trampled on.
That's right. And when you listen to Priest, it's like some street kids like, hey man, you got another thing coming. There's a whole world out there waiting to be had. If you think you let it go, you're mad. You've got another thing coming. And breaking the law, which I must say, there's been times in my life when I've in fact broke the law. So I lean more towards that because let me tell you how I discovered Judas Priest. I was sneaking to a party through some bushes, and I stepped on something, and I picked it up, and it was a Judas Priest tape, and I didn't know what it was, and I put it in my pocket, and I went and listened to it. Actually, I think I listened to it in Teddy Ruxpin the next day just to piss my sister off, and it was Priest, dude, and it was British Steel, and I was like, what is this? And it was powerful, and the songs weren't 8 minutes long. And it was just one of those things, man. It really got me into that. And then when the MTV came out, Priest was big into the MTV generation. They were there in the early days because like you said, offline, that was in their real prime is when that came about. So when I saw him point his hand at a guy and say, "You got another thing coming," his head exploded. I thought Rob Halford was fucking power incarnate, I mean, it was just, and you know what, a lot can be said for old Rob, I mean, a lot of people fucking, jumped off the Priest bandwagon when he came out of the closet, but was it really that big a surprise? Because every Police Academy movie you ever saw, they busted into a bar of gay guys, and they were all dressed like fucking Rob or Freddie Mercury, so I mean, was it really that big a fucking stretch? No,
You know what, I really didn't see it coming just because I just wrote it off as they were English. But dude, looking back, dude, it's so painfully obvious now that I fucking, but I was a kid, so kids are dumb.
Well, yeah, I mean, you don't see things for what they are, but the thing about old Rob is I don't think anybody can pull off riding a Harley on stage right now, and I don't think there's not a whole lot of people that could hit the notes that man hit. I mean, he had a very high vocal range, and
I know a guy. His name's Bruce Dickinson.
Yeah, he can do that too, you're right, and I mean, I can't take anything away from Bruce Dickinson. This is a whole thing. This is like, this is a line of demarcation between a lot of people. You're either Beatles or the Stones. You're Aerosmith or Zeppelin. You're Priest or Maiden. I happen to be Priest, and as a Judas Priest, I think it is my right to stand behind Judas Priest.
True, but I mean, fuck Iron Maiden's awesome. And Bruce Dickinson, man,
Yes.
the thing, what I will say, dude, is Rob Halford does have this tendency to just like sing normal. You know what I mean? Well, I'm heading out to the highway. I've got nothing to lose at all. And then he gets to the like, the chance before. You know what I mean? And he starts hitting the
Yeah.
high notes, but he's kind of lazy on the way up, dude. Bruce Dickinson belts that shit out the entire time like he's fucking Geddy Lee from Rush, dude.
Right on. Yeah, but you know what? I
Mhm.
mean, these guys really, man, Priest and Maiden were ships passing in the night. You know, they actually kind of probably passed the mantle to each other. You know, after Sad Wings of Destiny and that era is when fucking Maiden really kicked it into high gear, and it was probably they're he probably passed the baton. You know, really to Bruce Dickinson. And those guys carried it on for quite a long time, and their music is intricate. Shit, dude. Maiden, Maiden sold more tickets than the fucking Yankees. I mean, dude, those guys pack fucking stadiums, and I probably couldn't make that case for Priest. You know, they fit a niche. You know what I'm saying? And Iron Maiden was an international fucking phenomenon. And
Yeah, I'm definitely going Bruce Dickinson all the way. But I will say this, dude. I have never seen Iron Maiden live, and I've seen Priest twice.
is that right? Well, I mean, I would say, you know, Rob went on to do some solo projects. Fight and Halford were equally good bands. I've actually seen both of those bands, and maybe it's just because I lean towards Rob Halford, and it's just because fucking Priest.
Dude,
I
Fight.
grew up on that shit, and I can't, that's basically probably all it is. It's just probably me being loyal, and I may even be loyal to a fault, but but then again, it would be a debate if we just both jumped on Bruce Dickinson's dick, no
Sure.
pun intended.
Well, dude, and I will say this. Fight was fucking badass, dude. This old band that I used to be in way back in fucking years past, dude, we used to cover Nailed to the Gun. So, I mean, Fight's what's up. And then, and Halford, dude, I mean, a lot of people might not know this either. The guitar player for the Halford band was the singer for Damage Plan, Pat Lockman.
Oh
So,
wow,
and that was with fucking Daryl and Vinny, man. That was their
yeah,
post Pantera band. So, I
yeah,
mean,
right on.
it's not, and then Halford also did another little side project that's actually really little known, and I'm surprised. It was called Two, and it was
I remember that Voyeurs was their album, right?
yeah, it was Halford and what's his fucking name, dude? Trent Reznor.
There you go.
Yeah, which dude, I don't even know if it ever came out. It must have.
No, it came out because I think the title of that album was called Voyeurs.
That
And
sounds right. I don't know, man. That was early '90s, so my memories. But then I will
yeah,
say that, and that was when Halford left Priest, and they got the guy who sounded exactly
Rip,
like him. Yeah, Ripper
Ripper
Owens.
Owens. Now
And
check
then,
it out.
but
It's a movie.
about that same time, Bruce Dickinson left Maiden, and so did fucking Adrian Smith, and they went and made some fucking records that were a lot better than what Maiden was putting out at the time. So, I mean, really, you got to think, man. Those two singers leave, and then the bands become kind of subpar, and then they come back and they're awesome again. I don't know, man. You got to
Right.
give credit to them, man.
But see, I was just gonna put one more feather in fucking Rob's hat by saying, who else? I mean, come on, dude. They made a movie about the replacement for that guy in that band. I mean, come on, man. I mean, Rockstar is basically the Ripper Owens story.
Well, yeah, well, that's how it started. I don't know what the hell happened to it after fucking Marky Mark came on board, but I mean,
Right. Well,
that was the original hook of the movie, yes.
yes. It was originally written as basically the Judas Priest story. Yes. By the time the screenplay actually hit,
I don't know what
the film table, I don't. Yeah, you're right. But the main theme in it was that the original singer got kicked out of the band for coming out of the closet, and he was replaced with a guy who sounded exactly like him,
from
who
the
actually
tribute
ended up,
band.
who actually ended up probably fucking a guy in a room by the time end of that movie too. So,
Right.
yeah. So I mean, come on, man.
You know, I will say that dude had really nice tits though.
No shit. But you know, I mean, until well, fuck, dude, you can never discredit anything that is Iron Maiden. But to me, for my money, not that Priest is better. It's just I lean more towards Priest, and maybe it's because when I started playing guitar, the Priest licks were a lot easier than the Maiden shit, and that might just be it right there. I mean, that just might be it. It's like playing Hendrix and trying to play Zappa. You know, it's like
right.
I got this Jimmy shit, but that asshole Frank is all over the place. I don't know what kind of Middle Eastern fucking mode he's playing, but it's insane. You know, and that might be it, dude. But for my money, man, I'll you know, dude, I'll ride with old Rob Halford, man. You know, gay or not, it doesn't matter. Just as long as you know he doesn't, you know, try to put it in my backyard, it's all good. You know.
Yeah, and dude, I don't think he's really into you.
Yeah, I'm probably not his type. You know.
I don't know. All I'm saying is for the people out there, dude. If for a fucking second that you think that Rob Halford is not metal because he fucking bats for the same team, and then you're stupid.
Exactly, dude. I wholeheartedly agree with that, dude. And man, that statement right there is fucking is what's up. And I think that embodies what we are at the Go, dude. If you're fucking heavy metal, you're metal. If you're fucking punk, you're punk. If you're hardcore, you're hardcore. With that being said, send us your fucking music.
Yes. All right, let's play some more music.
All right, man. This is another fucking GOAT band. This is Ingrained Death, and this is Bloodlust. Rock out.